is an Aussie icon who's been gracing your screens and airwaves for years. Sure, he's hosted The Project, led the Aussie comedy scene, and is more known than all three of us put together. But do we really know who he is? Well, thankfully, he's now getting all the answers in his own episode of Who Do You Think You Are? June 6 on SBS and SBS On Demand. Please welcome Peter Helliar.
Peter, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, so good to have you in. And before you did this show, I mean, this is a strange question, but did you know much about your family's history? Because I feel like no one really does. Like, it's the sad reality. Like, you want to leave your mark in this world, but realistically, 2 generations out, you've like your own great-grandchildren won't know who you are.
Yeah.
They'll know who Pete is.
Well, yeah, they'll know who Peter. They're not going to know who I am. I don't know who mine are. You know what I mean?
I had a rough idea where the part of the world we came from.
Yeah.
But I thought it'd be like English and Irish. And I found out, I don't think this is saying too much, I found out I'm basically 94% Irish. I'm very Irish.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
5% Scottish. And I'll give you a little...
There we go.
1%. Where in Africa do you think I might have been from?
Wow.
1% Ghanaian.
I've always
wow.
thought
You can
that
see
about
that, can't you?
Yeah,
You can see that. Now that you know. You wouldn't have guessed it, but now that you know, it makes sense.
So for people that aren't aware, like, this show's been around for a while. It's amazing. It goes into your history. It's basically, I mean, dare I say Ancestry.com, but the TV show version.
Yeah.
You hadn't done any digging before this at all. You hadn't put your DNA anywhere. They did
No.
it all for you.
No, I mean, I put my DNA everywhere when I was younger, but not into a kit. But it is a gift of a show.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever get a chance to do it, I highly recommend it because it's like an Easter egg hunt for your family history. And I didn't know a whole lot about it, to be honest. In fact, we found out some stuff that is just like boggled my mind and shocked me.
So we're not allowed to know any of the secrets. The episode, like you heard, it's coming out June 6th. We can't know any of the real big secrets that you found out, but you did find...
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you what. I can tell you that I had a great grandfather, and it's a massive story, and it's a fascinating story. But he fought at Gallipoli, and I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I commemorate Anzac Day every day. I read up about stories on Anzacs, and yet I had no idea that my great grandfather actually fought at a really intense level at Gallipoli and has a fascinating story as to how he got there, some weird kind of sliding door moments, and then what happened afterwards. It's a really fascinating story.
That's kind of like, isn't that, it's such a thing as well, that's kind of sad and scary that can happen as well.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about remembering so much, and like, of course you are, as you said, but like, that fact that history doesn't make it to you, and it's not your fault. It's just like, that's kind of how it works.
I'm not even sure. My mother didn't know. Her grandfather. I'm not even sure if my nan, Rupert's daughter, knew that he fought at Gallipoli. So it was just something that wasn't handed down for a variety of reasons.
It's fascinating to look back at your family tree and just wonder who's in there.
You're not like you don't have any royal ties. I mean, I know you can't say it, but you didn't work out. You're like, I got a tie to Vlad the Impaler or something like that. They don't go back that far, do they?
No, they didn't go back that far. It's funny because when you do the show, because I've seen quite a few episodes, and I know Lisa Wilkinson did one. She went to India. It was a fascinating episode, and I was chatting to her about it, and I'm like, and I hadn't travelled post-COVID, so I was like, this is good. Get the passport ready, and I'll probably end up in Dublin, or it'd be great. And I think on the second day, I was in the suburb that I grew up in, Bundoora, and spent a bit of time in Brunswick where my grandparents lived. And if I hadn't known that going in, I would have been quite disappointed.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it by the end, it did not matter at all because the gifts they give you and the stories they give you about your family are worth their weight in gold.
Look, maybe, you weren't on this show. Maybe you haven't even done an Ancestry.com, but maybe you found out a secret about your family. Maybe your family's claim to fame. It's like, oh my God, I had no idea that person is in the tree. They're a distant cousin.
Yep.
They're my, grandma's sister, whatever it may be.
Maybe it's a chance to have a bit of a brag on the radio this morning about your family. 13 24 10 is our number. What's your family's claim to fame? Belinda in Carrum Downs has given us a buzz. Good morning, Belinda. Tell us your story.
Good morning, all.
Good
My
morning.
dad, about 10 years ago, decided to do his family tree. He went back to the 1800s, back to England, and our grandma and grandpa all the way back then lived in the royal palace because my nan was the lady in waiting, and her husband died hanging the royal drapes for the Queen's coronation back in the 1800s.
Oh, bloody hell. Rough gig.
Yeah.
The scaffolding
He
wasn't
fell and
sturdy.
broke his neck. Yeah.
Oh, very visual.
And
yeah,
here you
thank
are, you know, Carrum Downs,
So-
the royalty of Melbourne.
Do we know? Sorry, Belinda. Do we know what sort of era of royals that was? Do you know which coronation that was?
Well, it was in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Do you know if the Queen's drapes matched the? No, I
The regal curtain.
won't. It's too much information.
That is amazing, Belinda. Thank you very much. Hey, make sure you go see Peter's new show as well, Deconstructed Origami. That's the new one. The next one's going to be 1% Ghanaian. You can see it at the Comedy Republic, June 1 through to the 3rd. Visit comedy.com.au for tickets. Peter Helliar, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, legends.